All right, we're here. It's happening.
Oh, it's Monday.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
The 4 has been showing up all day today.
It really has, hasn't it?
It's also
and it's April 4th. It's the 4th month, the 4th day.
4th day.
Month. We pulled
4th episode.
We were talking about the fact that P has her birthday coming up on Wednesday, and she's the double 4.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, is anyone else horrified with the number 4? I was always told it was the death number.
Well, this is interesting because since I was a little girl, 4 was my favorite number.
And to me, it's so funny that it would be associated with death, because I think of 4 as April, and April is spring, and spring is the epitome of rebirth.
Rebirth. Well, guess what? I am like the epitome of the phoenix, which is the death and rebirth. So
and
the 4 does
have the phoenix. Yeah.
Right, because feng shui, 4 is the number that's avoided. Right? Like 4 means death.
Why does it have to mean anything? Why do we always have to put meaning on everything in life? Hey?
Then why? Well, then there's no
That's
point
how
in
we
playing cards either.
True. I'm a life path 4.
Oh yeah,
I am.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it.
Something's
Love it.
totally tickling my ear right now.
Bringing through the messages.
Oh, and my hair too. Yeah, my hair just got all kind of tingly and itchy.
It's like, who's here?
Who is here?
We each brought in a guide.
I'm itchy and tingly.
And so to bring the public, our millions of viewers, up to speed, we pulled this card before coming on today.
Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4
Is
of
the
cups.
subject of our video or of our podcast, which is when you're feeling like this person, which is kind of bored with life, kind of like maybe a bit apathetic, maybe a bit in that yearning, like grass is always greener type thinking, oh, I want that over there and that's better than what I have. That's what we're going to talk about today. What do we do about that?
How do we overcome the boredom of life?
What does it say in the grass?
In the grass, it says yearning, disillusion, and boredom.
Oh, well, how fitting.
And I'll tell you guys, I did live like this for a really long time. Like constant for a really long time. So I'd love to know your experience with this, but yeah, fuck that shit.
I think we've all had periods of flatlining for sure within your life. I would say right now, I almost feel like I'm kind of at this standstill, coast through, nothing crazy exciting. We finished up our course and are all waiting on our marks, and we've got this new business venture going. And then I don't know. I just feel like.
Are you disillusioned?
I don't know. I wouldn't
just
say disillusioned. No, I wouldn't say disillusioned. No, I feel like I'm just kind of sitting in this, like, I don't know what's next. I don't know what to do. There's no like, I don't feel like I have anything I'm looking forward to or anything that I'm moving on to. I'm just kind of in this like state of like, meh. And it's interesting because I have this like maybe my higher self or this other, part of me that's saying it's okay to sit in the quiet. It doesn't always have to be a storm and chaos. And it doesn't always have to be the fireworks and the excitement. There's something really golden and beautiful about sitting in this neutral space. And that's what it feels like, neutrality. Like it's just very like everything's just.
Okay, I want to comment on that. This in the quiet. I had this great conversation yesterday about kind of sitting in the quiet, and it ultimately started with talking about prayer. But really, the answer is sitting in the quiet, and in that practice of actually sitting in the quiet, and like using a prayer or meditation, either way. You are so much more in tune to hearing what the messages are. So much more. And it was so obvious to me at the end of this conversation that it was such a huge benefit. And then I found myself in this place of resistance of, am I actually sitting in the quiet? Like, you're right. We're kind of like in this place right now where it feels like we are, but am I really, or am I just keeping myself kind of distracted just enough, still bored, but not like letting into like having that actual quietness happen?
Yeah. And I think that's the nuance here that we need to point out, because what Tiana brought up is actually not what's in this card, right? What Tiana brought up is actually the solution to what's in this card, or one of the solutions. Because when you're in this place of yearning and disillusionment and boredom, you need to be able to embrace the quiet. That's the person who's going, it's quiet and I don't know what the frick to do, as opposed to, I'm going to ride this moment and see what's next, right? Tiana's looking at it from a very tapped in point, right? A positive point of view. There's anything is possible, and I'm going to ride this moment while the energy stirs, and I'm going to see what happens. But then, like Jennifer is sort of touching on, is it, this is full on, I'm bored and something better must be happening over there. So they're not embracing that quiet. That's the boredom. So there's a nuance of difference, but it's quite different. It's two very different places to sit, and feels very different.
Yeah. It's like you're saying, I mean, I think it's the new way of living and the new way of thinking and the new way of being, really and truly, to learn to sit and embrace this time and not judge it and not try and figure out, why you're feeling this way, or, should be doing this or whatever, because we've been conditioned to always be searching for the next thing, right? Like, look at social media, look at the way we live, look at the way technology is, right? Like there's always something newer, bigger, better, shinier that we're always chasing after. And so when you do get to this place where you sit in the quiet, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I am trying to really sit in here and embrace it, but I have the chatter too that goes, well, maybe you should do this, or maybe this should happen. And then I have to be like, well, why though? Why does something have to happen? Why can't I just sit here for a minute and fucking breathe? I just want to breathe for a second, right? And yeah, it's funny. It's funny how we've had that belief ingrained into us that this quiet space is a bad space, or this quiet space means you're not doing something. That's another one.
Boredom is bad.
There's guilt.
There's
guilt around it.
Yeah, like I look at my mom, and I mean, bless her heart, but she has some mental health issues, and she's someone who, she raised us kids, and there's 3 of us, and we have our stuff going on. And I mean, when you're a mom, you're busy. I don't think you're ever busier than you are when you're a parent, right? And especially if you are doing a stay at home, or even if you're not doing stay at home, but when you have a family and you're also balancing life, it's a busy time of life. And so now she's in retired life, right? Where there's no kids at home. There's nothing really going on. She's got my dad there, and I'll talk to her on the phone, and she's like, I'm so busy. And I'm like, well, what are you busy doing? Oh, well, I got to feed the birds, and I got to do the gardening, and I got to do this. And I'm like, but why does that have to be something? Like, what if feeding the birds is actually a chance for you to get quiet and meditate and connect with earth and connect with yourself and connect with, right? Like just everything. Why does that have to be a job? Why do we always have to look at that as a busyness? And I think that is because, and especially that generation has been so conditioned to believe that you have to be doing something, because if you're not, there's something wrong with you. You're not doing enough, right? And
they don't know how to be. They have to.
No, they don't.
Their value is wrapped up in what they do as opposed to who they be.
Like the tangible something, right? Oh, look, I finished this. I've had a busy day. Now I deserve my drink. Now I deserve to sit down and have a minute to breathe, instead of going, hey, you know what? I have nothing to do today. I get a whole friggin' day to breathe. How often does that come around?
So there's different things about like your mental health and feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
They say the worst jobs are when you are just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you never see any gain.
Yeah.
You never see any accomplishment.
Yeah.
But when you do something and you accomplish something, that's what, and I've said this lots of times, where I crochet because at the end of what I do, I have a product that I can be proud of and feel accomplished. Mm-hmm. And that's a win for me. So, just sitting doing nothing doesn't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. And it feels very sorrowful for my mental health. Mm-hmm. Although I feel really trapped in not doing anything, not even feeling accomplished, but getting sucked into stimulants that are keeping my mind doing something like Facebook or watching like show after show after show because they're accessible, right? Like just getting them all in there. That after that conversation yesterday, huge epiphany about, no, I just actually have to make myself quiet. Mm-hmm. Like listen to the hum of a fan or listen to the sound of the fridge. And like Abraham Hicks, like they talk about that quite a bit. Do a meditation just on a sound, and then all the things will come. And I thought, I am not giving myself that time. I really, really specifically need to make time for that.
And you're touching on something huge that society doesn't accept. And society isn't accepting that the being is the doing. You sitting there breathing all day, like you say, I crochet to get that sense of accomplishment. Well, there's a huge sense of accomplishment being able to sit for an hour breathing and doing nothing else. That is the ultimate of doing. But we have been conditioned to believe that, if you don't have a product at the end of it, or you don't have some sort of check mark that other people would agree you just did something, then it don't count. But the truth is, to be in that space and to meditate and to be with self without all those other distractions is the ultimate doing.
Yeah. And
if we could start honoring that and seeing how proud we can be of ourselves for that, because it isn't easy. It is much easier to chase all the things all day. And then at the end of the day, go, wow, I just did a whole lot of shit. Might not have got me any step forward in my life. It may not have expanded me. It may not be anywhere towards my dreams, but I'm going to feel really accomplished because I did a whole long to-do list. And it's crazy. It's crazy that we continue to live in those cycles when so much more happens. Like you say, at the end of a day of doing, like of being in your energy, you'll hear, like Jennifer said, you'll hear the nudges to your next right step. You'll get to be in that space of complete creation and expansion, which feels way better than completing any to-do list. But being able to flip that switch and allow yourself to get in that space and actually do that, well, that's a whole thing in itself.
Yeah, because I think the perceived wasting time is like the ultimate sin. It's wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a so much certain amount of time on this earth. Yeah. So to waste time is ultimately the worst thing you could do.
And so do you believe that's true, that a person can waste time?
Yes. I was wasting time on Facebook. That was fucking wasting time. I should have been doing some breathing or meditation.
Is it wasting time or is it wasting your energy? Because time's an illusion, right? Like if you really wanted to go way out in the woo.
Yeah, and time is going so much faster for me at this age than it has for me.
And it's definitely different. Yeah, as you hit the different stages of your life. But I think it's more like a waste of your energy to sit and scroll on Facebook or, like Patricia.
I think it's both. I think it's a waste of time too.
To sit and stress about like all these things you need to do, and then to have, like to work and do all these things, and then you have this accomplished checklist of, oh look, see everyone, I did all this stuff. Like that's a waste of time too. I mean, I know it's stuff that needs to get done. I'm not saying you get to sit and breathe all day and you have no responsibilities, because that's just not the reality of life. Things do need to get done. But I think that there's ways that we can make them that meditative experience or an opportunity to really connect with self, right? Like gardening. Okay, yeah, that's a big job. But I mean, you also have an opportunity to breathe and get your hands in the dirt and connect with nature and connect again with yourself. For me, when I garden, that's like, I'm so quiet and in my head when I'm gardening, and just having that time to listen to the birds or listen to the wind kind of gusting through the trees, or smelling the earth as I'm turning my soil, or, checking out the seeds and giving some love energy in my, little hippie way that I do that before I plant them into the garden, giving them gratitude for what they're going to do, nourishing my family, right? There's so many opportunities that you can take the chance to get quiet and just enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
there's opportunities, but it's a matter of being able to do that. Because I'm thinking about the same situation where I'm pulling weeds, and I'm thinking about, oh yeah, I need to go get that groceries, and I need to do this, and I'm so not even there.
Yeah,
I'm not even in the situation of pulling weeds. I'm like,
how many people do that?
Doing my list. I'm doing this. Oh yeah, I needed to go get those pants for my kid. That kind of a thing. Yeah. And even driving. Like, how many of us do that driving where we're just like, how did I get here?
That's a form of hypnosis when you do that.
What's that?
That's a form of hypnosis when you do that. Like when you get into that, I think, what are you going into? Is it your theta brainwaves?
It's your subconscious, right? Your subconscious takes over and does all those works for you.
Yeah, but you do. It's like the brainwaves that happen at that time are the same as someone who's in a hypnosis.
Yeah, which is theta for sure.
Yeah.
Because your subconscious can actually react faster for you and process more and more things faster than you do consciously. So even just to get yourself wherever and not, realize that you were conscious the whole time.
Yeah.
You're still in a safe place because your subconscious actually reacts faster for yourself.
It's funny, and you guys know this already because I've said this to you before, but in this last, I guess, maybe a month or so, that's exactly what I've been practicing. And it has been the game changer in going from, I mean, I wasn't quite back in this stage, but going from that to being present in the moment and bringing myself back has made me able to, which I think I told you guys before was a total mind fuck for me because it's the opposite. It's counterintuitive to what I thought, but it's actually allowed me to enjoy my life and manifest more things. Literally just coming back.
The practice of your 5 senses. Yeah.
Coming back every moment and just like, and at first, and it's still quite a bit, like I am up in the ether a lot, but I'm getting better at not going there unless I'm going intentionally. But I used to live out there unintentionally all the time. And at first it was a constant, whoa, back to the moment, Patricia, you were just out there again. Oh, what am I doing? You know, and really coming back to focus. And it's great that we're mentioning that because it's a great tool our peeps can actually take away today. The simplest, but most fun. And probably a lot of them have heard of the power of now and all those different people who talk about being in the moment. But dude, that's a huge game changer. If you're bored, if life isn't going how you want, if you're feeling disillusioned because more crappy shit happens than good shit, get in the moment.
Yeah. Check your 5 senses, right? What do you hear? What do you smell? What can you taste? What can you see? What can you feel? And just bring yourself down to the present. Because, you know, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's not that you're bored. You're just disconnected.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you're not bored. You're busy living in the anxiety of what's to come or the things that need to get done. Or maybe you're living in a depressive state of like, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda from the past.
Yeah.
And you're totally missing this opportunity to fully be present in the moment. And with that, your time will stand still. So yeah, in hindsight, you're going to look back and be like, holy shit, this time's gone fast. But if you're really embracing every moment or as many as possible, then it's not a waste. It's not wasted because evolution comes in that and growth comes in that and shifting comes in that and perspective comes in that, right? Major things come in that. And suddenly then the big things don't seem so scary, right? I guess that's why people say like when you have, say, addiction, taking it a day at a time.
Yeah.
When you're trying to lose weight, do it a day at a time. Just show up every day. There's this saying that used to be with that. What is it? Inch by inch and it's a cinch, mile by mile. It will take a while. Have you guys heard that?
Oh, I've never heard that, but that's cool.
Maybe not for a long time.
Yeah.
That was it. What are the Reiki principles? It's something about just for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really connecting that when I heard that a couple of days ago. I was like, oh yeah, just for today. I can whatever, not be angry just for today or.
Yeah, because it's all that matters, right? Tomorrow hasn't happened yet and yesterday is gone.
That's such a great statement for being in your present time, just for today. I'm only focusing on just today. Yeah. Out running on Saturday, and I was mentioning those Reiki principles, and we had like 10 minutes of straight running to do, and I was like, we're only focusing on the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we need to do. We'll be done in 10 minutes. Just think about moving one foot in front of the other for 10 more minutes. We could do this. We've already done it twice, like just one more.
It helps so much, doesn't it?
Oh, it was. And for both of us, we were just like, yeah, that's it. 10 more minutes. I don't have to think about what I'm having for lunch. I don't have to think about what I'm doing later. I need to think right here. I'm moving one foot in front of the other for the next 10 minutes. Like that's
or the other one too is like focusing on the breath, right? Because that's what I find when I'm working out and I'm doing something. I'm like, this is burning. I can't keep going. My husband and I had that this morning. We were working our glutes and we were doing a glute burnout and it was 3 minutes straight and we just kept moving. We had resistant bands. And inside the ego was going, stop, it hurts. You can't do this. This is going to be sore. And then there's a bigger part of me that's like, but I know if I push, this is where I'm getting results. And then there's another part of me that goes, focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath. Just in this minute, focus on your breath till she tells you to stop. Yeah. And that's what I did. Right. So then it just became more like, okay, I'm going to match my movement to my breathing. Out, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Right. And just doing that way to find the rhythmic something just to be in the moment of now.
Yeah.
And God, it makes it so much easier to handle all of it, right? Instead of looking at like, oh, I got 20 minutes left on the clock. My butt's burning.
To get myself to do a workout, sometimes I'll say, you know what, just do something for 5 minutes. Literally just do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes goes by in like no time. It's the amount of time it takes your coffee to steep. So just put a coffee on.
Yeah.
While it's steeping, do something for 5 minutes. And I always find that it's like 20 minutes later and I'm like sweating and I'm like, oh, man, that was good, you know? But I just needed to edge myself in with the, you don't have to do it for 5 minutes. You can do anything for 5 minutes.
Well, and if you can do it for 4 times a day, then you're at 20.
There you go. Yeah.
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 Just keep going.
Yeah.
It all adds up. Yeah. The thing about exercise is that it doesn't have to be all in one shot. It can be cumulative over the course of a day, and it will still have the same amount of effect.
A lot of people actually swear by that way of doing it too.
Really?
Like, you think it's better. Well, yeah, because then you're increasing your heart rate and then you're giving yourself that chance to rest. And then you're increasing your heart rate, and it's like, I can't remember the actual terms for it, but it's basically giving you a shock. It's like that HIIT training.
It's like HIIT.
Right? Like high intensity interval training.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is, right? Like you get a burst and then you get some time to just kind of rest and you shock your system again. And it's very beneficial. I mean, that's our main style of working out is the HIIT programs. And both my husband and I now for 3 years have been able to maintain the same weight and have more flexibility, way more strength than we've had ever. I feel stronger and healthier now in my late 30s than I did in my 20s. Mind you, you're making pretty crap choices in your 20s typically.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a visitor here.
That's all right. Yeah. So I think where we've gotten to, you know, if you're in that disillusionment and you're finding yourself bored and, you know, kind of sitting like yearning for more and always wanting for things you don't have, I think that's a huge call to get present in the moment and go, okay, this is that I have to start creating shit in my life or stuff's just going to keep happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I have to be a present participant in this situation, which is funny to say because most of us, I mean, I definitely didn't realize that I wasn't being a present participant. I mean, I was showing up every day and brushing my teeth and going to work, but you know, I really wasn't creating in my life. And the side effect was depression and feeling bored and feeling angsty and always chasing the next fun activity, the next high, the next adrenaline rush, whatever it was, instead of being with myself. And so I think that is something to look at. If you're really feeling that way, toss around the idea.
Well, then even in that, like, do you think that we do always need to be creating? I mean, really just going back to like our original thing, just sitting here and feeling bored. Do we always need to be creating? Is it okay to just sit in silence and have nothing going on? Like, that's where I feel like I'm at right now. I mean, I do have the excitement of our podcast. I love doing this. And I have the excitement of the IG live and I have the Facebook lives. And I have the excitement of waiting to see if we get the results for the test. But then I also feel at the same time too, like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't have anything to create right now.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I don't think it has to be
process of like the what do you call it? You know, when the butterfly's sitting in the chrysalis and they're going through their metamorphosis, and there's that quiet time where it's like, okay, I've done this work, I've gathered my resources, and now I need to sit in this silence. I need to sit in this presence because now is the time where my energy is being consumed at making wings so I can really fly. Right? So, which is very different though than what I'm saying about being bored. Right? Like, again, you're talking about a totally different state of mind. Like, it's beautiful to be quiet in the moment. Yeah. It's beautiful. That is a gift that one could give themselves if they are bored, if they're disillusioned with life, if they are not, you know, stuff is happening to them instead of them getting to create things in their life. Then yes, just being quiet in the moment would be a beautiful, beautiful solution to that. Because no, you're not always going to be in the mode of creating big things, but every day you wake up, you are creating your day. Every day you wake up, you are creating your life. Now that day, it might be creating, you know, the quiet space to just see and be and allow for what's next, right? It could be just celebrating, just kind of sitting with all the things you've created already as you know, tap into just being with self before you get into that next big push of whatever it is that you're doing, if that's what's coming next. But that's the difference, right? That's two very different ways of being that I want to point out. Sorry, excuse me for 1 second. I have my older son homesick and it's a little distracting. Give me for a second.
You know what, going back to the being bored or just sitting, like I have so much to do. Like there's so much on my list of things to do that there's no reason for me to be bored. Sometimes there's a lack of motivation to get things done, but I'm also realizing for myself that I need to put some sort of schedule out there for myself. That I've got a point where I can, I'm going to do this on Monday morning. And then what am I going to do Monday afternoon? Like give myself that little bit of schedule, and even schedule in, like, I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do my meditation, like all of those things on a schedule for myself. So for one, I feel accomplished when I've, fulfilled the schedule, but for two, so that I don't just get kind of sucked into just this like nothingness of stuff. Like, right. Like to use my time for my value, for my education. Cause I was realizing, oh yeah, that book I was talking about earlier. Well, I need to go find that book. And even if I feel like it's kind of like doing nothing, I actually really need to read that book. There's lots of information in there that's going to be super valuable for my life. So don't put it aside thinking that it's not doing anything. Put it aside as my education. And then when I started to tell myself that a couple of days ago, oh yeah, that's a good idea. My spending time on the computer is my education. Like, what am I looking up today? What am I going to research? What am I going to figure out something new? And then another modality kind of gets thrown my way. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe I should look up that one. This girl had so much benefit out of that. Would that help me? Do I need to do that? Do I have to take the course? Maybe I can just buy the book. Yeah, all of those kinds of things. So I think for myself, putting together a schedule is super beneficial. And I mean, if we're talking about how to overcome boredom, you know how to overcome boredom? Schedule yourself. And
I'm going to toss this in there. For me, to-do lists and schedules make me super bored. So it's really going to depend on the person. Yeah. For the longer to-do lists I had in my life were some of the times I've been the most bored, because for me, it was almost like an overwhelm. It was like, fuck, I have all those things that I should be doing and I don't want to do any of them. I'm bored. I
agree with that. That's how
what can I do that's more fun? All of that bores me.
Yeah. I love making lists.
Right? So it really depends on the person. I love it.
Are you a type A personality, Jennifer?
Maybe.
Erica loves lists. Like Erica is lit up, and I think like you with the sense of accomplishment, and like she's got her list, and then she's like, yeah, I checked that, I checked that, I checked that. I'm like, way to go. It totally lights her up.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm like, for me, it's just what I put out and how I follow my yes, and what is my next right thing to do in each day is how I know.
Mm. So then the people listening to this podcast, we're all going to have like a Tiana, Jennifer, and Patricia.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, yeah, Jennifer, that's right. I need to schedule my time. That really rings true for me and gives me the goosebumps. And then something Patricia's going to say is going to, just let it flow. Somebody else is going to be like, yeah, that's what I need to do for myself. Like all three of us are going to have different pieces of advice because we're three totally different people.
Agreed.
Well, that's, I think, the biggest key in anything that we say in our podcast and anything for anybody in life in general is knowing that there's not just one reality. There's not one way to do something. There's not one right answer for anything.
Well, we're like we've said before,
and it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, and we've said before, this is completely our opinion.
Yes.
This is just for fun. This is just,
for entertainment purposes only.
And I like that it's 3 different perspectives, right? Like exactly like you said, I'm hoping that we can reach a wider audience that way and provide tools for all watching, right? Because people we are each quite different. Like we have some similarities that brought us together for sure, but we have some very different perspectives. I like it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well then. On that note, I am obsessed with cards, so I'm going to pull us a card. I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts. We're going to wrap it up or whatever. My question I'm asking this deck is going to be, if you're feeling checked out, disillusioned, you're in the yearning, all of that jazz, how can you get to that place of satisfaction and empowerment and moving forward? And is it a perspective switch, a mindset shift? Is it an energetic clearing? Like, what the frick do you need? So that's what I'm going to do. What you guys?
All right, well, maybe I'll pull a card too then. See what
That's interesting because I just was kind of called to just start running energy. I'm like, oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And whoever sees this at whatever time, they're going to receive that energy when it's appropriate for them and when it's safe for them to receive. But it just occurred to me like, oh, I need to lift up the energy of this conversation just a tiny little bit and just send that out there so that this ends up being like the most liked video because of the energy.
Like it.
Because as Patricia already mentioned to our millions of viewers.
Yeah. I can't wait until we get to, I think it's 100 subs. So please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because when we get to 100 subscribers, we'll get to have a custom URL for our channel, which is way cooler than numbers.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then when we get to 1,000, okay, let's make it a goal, people. We get to go live on YouTube. So
You're not allowed to go live yet on YouTube?
No.
Oh.
You have to have 1,000 subs. And then
friends, tell your other friends.
Yeah. When we get to, I think it's 8 hours of watch time. So we have to have 1,000 subs and 8 hours of watch time. So keep watching, you guys, and watch till the end. We'll actually get to start being monetized. So
well, that's really
it's a ways off yet, but we're excited about it. So please like and subscribe.
Yeah. And share.
Okay, so cards wise.
Whoa. Got cards flying out everywhere.
What was my question again?
Just what people need or.
You have a question?
Yeah, how to move from that to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is this. It's actually, I kind of see Jennifer crocheting as a little bit of the answer here. So getting into, no matter where whatever you do, whether you pick up a hobby, right, to remind you that life can be fun and it's not all to-do lists, or whether you connect with another person who might also be feeling that way and you guys pick up a hobby together is even better. But to get in that space of doing something that lights you up, to start showing you that is possible. And I mean, even that in itself can be a challenge. I know for me in some of my toughest times to pick up that hobby was a challenge, but you're at that point now where you're ready to make this shift. That's why you're noticing how crappy you feel. So lean into that and make that shift and really pull into that hobby or tapping into your creativity, whatever that means, and sharing that with someone else will be really expansive. The Ten of Swords has shown up to show you as well that it feels like things are happening to you. It feels like, stuff is maybe showing up that is very uncomfortable, but that's so that you aren't comfortable being complacent in your life. That's so you will pick up a toy and play. That is so you can see what you're really made of and make the moves to make your life whatever you want it to be. Because it turns out, you guys, even though you feel trapped and like life is happening to you, it's actually not. And you're creating every moment you're in, even the bad ones.
Beautiful. Wow. I love that you said all that in what you said, because I pulled a card from my chakra deck and it was acceptance.
Yes, I love that card actually.
And acceptance, like the red in your chakra system, represents like it's our root chakra, right? So it's a source of energy, and it's really it's like building a foundation, right? It's building our foundation. So sometimes when you're building your foundation, you've done all this work, and exactly like Patricia's saying, and you're creating stuff and you're doing all this, you're laying your ground right now and you're laying the foundation. And so when you do get to this place of complacency, or you get to this place of perceived boredom or whatever, and it's your time to really just kind of sit on that and see how sturdy your foundation is. And then listen to the inner dialogue that's coming in, and how are you assessing what you've done? And are you assessing yourself accurately? And are you being kind to yourself? And are you feeling like you have to do stuff because the outside world and the ego is telling you have to? Or is it because it's the next right move for you to now go and start laying out, the frame that you're building on top of this foundation or whatever it is? So accept yourself where you are and accept the work that you've done and be proud of the work that you've done and the work that you're doing, and know that it is okay to sit in this neutral space of what seems like nothingness, because that's a lot of the times where the metamorphosis happens. And that's where, like, I think it's like all the stuff we've learned, it's where it's really starting to kind of stick onto us and become a part of us and become a part of the evolved human you're going to be.
I'm just having an epiphany with what you were just saying that goes really well with my Ten of Swords cards as well. Sorry, Jennifer.
That's okay.
But honestly, when I felt those things, the boredom, the disconnect, and all of that for my life, it was because I wasn't accepting myself for that unique piece of pie, right? I was trying to fit into all the little boxes and do all the 9 to 5 and things and be this person in society that did not feel like who I was. So once I was able to accept self, I was able to actually be present in the moment, right? That kind of had to come first. I couldn't be where I was and grounded in the moment until I actually wanted to look myself in the eyes, right? That was how I was able to. All right, Jennifer, what do you got?
Okay, so this was perfect. Like, as soon as Tiana said metamorphosis of self, I was like, oh my gosh, this card just totally pulls that together. So
beautiful.
It is so pretty.
That one you had earlier. Wow.
This is the Rose Oracle. So it says the codes of the seeds, the blueprint is within you, takes the next step. And I just thought, well, this is so
that's accepting
beautiful.
Self, like your blueprint. Like,
yeah, and even just the analogy of working with dirt and working with earth and giving that love and gratitude to the seeds, and like pulling that forward for ourselves. And yeah, all we need is within us now. It's about having that come forward. And I think this card actually flowed really well with the stuff that you guys pulled, which was always amazes me about how we can pull 3 cards that can totally relate to each other.
Yeah,
we're in like three different cities, 3 different decks, and they just like all speak to each other. I think that we're truly making that connection. Like that's the card that needed to come forward.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah, amazing.
I love that. Yeah. And if you don't know, like if you're honestly listening to that, people, like, this is no joke. If you're listening to that and you're like, yeah, that sounds really cool, but I don't know who the frick I am or how to get in touch with who I am or how to do that. We all here, the 3 of us, have skills to help with that. So look into our eyes on the podcast and go, hey, which one of you is for me? And then you can find all our details in the comments in the description box below so that you can hook up with us, because sometimes this stuff does take a buddy. Okay. Yes, there's a lot you can do for yourself. And that's why we have this podcast and why we have our group on Facebook, so we can support people with their, do it yourself, self-help, healing jazz. We really love empowering people, but sometimes you need help with another human. And that's okay too. And we're really great at supporting people and igniting that fire and letting you be able to see that perspective you can't quite see on your own. That's totally cool. So find us and get the help. Don't live in that place any longer. If you take nothing else away from this podcast, know that you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in the yearning and the wanting and the wishing, and someday maybe my life will start to be awesome. You can actually make changes now, and we're here to support you if you need it.
Beautiful.
And just to say, none of us are perfect, but we're all great at being that support person for other people, and highly motivational and highly reactive, and like all of the things that we do are amazing, but we're just humans as well. So, take a look, make your criticisms or whatever, but know that all 3 of us are super powerful individuals that
just think we're amazing.
Make things happen. Well, I think there's always going to be that criticism, right? But
yes.
Yeah.
But criticism, by the way, is a reflection of your own inner shit. Throw that back to you.
So before you write that comment below, like, okay, think of that for a second.
Twice. What is this bringing up in my son?
What is it showing me of that I dislike about myself?
Yes.
Beautiful.
All right, beauties.